Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, and I'm out on another walk, my quest of England, starting at a familiar point. If you've been watching recently, I have been doing a number of walks just above Patcham in East Sussex, above Brighton back that way. I did one the other way to the Chattri, I think that's what it's called, for the Indian monument, and this time I'm coming up on the opposite loop to that. Julia and I did one on this side of the valley here. Got some lovely little horses there again. I think the same horses that I saw in a previous one, the same little foal down there. It's lovely. Anyway, slightly different walk this time. Isn't this just amazing countryside sprawling out in front of me? It's a terrific valley. It is a particularly splendid part of the South Downs. Hard to believe that at one point this section was ignored really by the late Victorians and early Edwardians for being a bit bland and boring. It is just absolutely wonderful. So we have this road here in front of me to follow a little bit. Then on the bend there is a turning. In the distance we have the Chattri, but we're not going there. We will pass it on the way back, but I'm not going to bother to go down into seeing it because that's on another walk obviously. And this is a 4 mile stretch that I'm going to do, and it takes me over the north side of the Downs a bit, and it sort of just comes back round on a stretch up to the Chattri. So it's pretty much, that's about as far as I'm going, and then I sort of get back down to the car. Access land, here we go, and this is the path through this gate and up that way, though the path isn't terribly well delineated. But there's a whole load of cows in that field. Don't like that, having had my recent experience with cows. And actually the one I did the other day with the lovely Julia was still quite intimidating, although Julia was absolutely fine with it. So there is an option, it's slightly longer walk now, carry on the road, bypass this whole field and then get back up to where I wanted to be. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I know you like to see me being chased by cows, but I ain't going to do it. But you can go through there. The lane goes right up round there. Just looking here, there's a little gateway through here to some more access land. I imagine that goes up to where we were the other day. But we'll go up the lane because it passes through a little, not a village, but a farm, I think. We'll see what we see. There's a multitude of opportunities here. Now, looking at this, I could continue on the road, or this is interesting and worth taking the deviation, because this might get me back on the original path I wanted to, having avoided the cows. This is interesting. I wonder what that does. Must be something to do with the cows, I suppose. Anyway, up ahead here is the rifle range. Now this rifle range I think was here in the Second World War, because beyond it is the Chattri, and that's where the bullet holes went to the I keep saying, I keep putting an N in there, isn't it? It's not Chattri, it's Chattri. It's where in the Second World War, I thought when I was filming up at the Chattri, a Messerschmitt had perhaps fired and put the bullet holes in, but it turns out that is actually wrong. British troops were down here and they were using it for target practice, which is not very respectful at all. But that's what they did. Now the cows are just over there, but we do get to a crossroads, so that path would take you back up and round to the Chattri, but I don't want to do that. I want to carry on this route and have actually bypassed the cows. Whew, I feel so much better. So we'll go through this non-existent gate here, which once was here, that isn't. And I think the other side of the gate is just at the top of this hill. I saw that. This is one of the things you've got to be aware of. Now I do have a map on my phone, looking to make sure the cows aren't suddenly seeing my red jumper, because that's a myth. They are actually colourblind. So I'm going to climb up this hill, hopefully get back up and see some more lovely views. Come to the end of land access now, so all of that is, you can open access, you can just sort of roam around. Here you've got to stick to the footpath, and the footpath is on the edge of this. Is this barley or wheat? Never quite sure. Looks beautiful though, along this pathway at the edge, which is great, which should take me right up to the top, and I think there's a little bit of a ziggy zaggy, and then I come all the way back round, which is nice. It does look nice, all of this, but as you know, anybody who's been watching my stuff for a while will know I am somewhat agitated by the fact that what was pasture land is becoming tillage, agricultural land. I would like to see the sheep on here and the old pasture here with the wild flowers rather than one uniform crop. But at the same time, it's good to know that we are growing our own crops to feed ourselves, which is just as important. But if it hadn't been for the war, this probably wouldn't have been here, and we would have done the growing in the Weald rather than up on the downland. In fact, I'm just going to pick this rather big flint. Look at the size of this. That is an amazing flint, and it's got a little hole in it. I think that's supposed to mean something. But actually, if you look on the ground here, just ahead of me as I walk along, there's a lot of flints, and you can see they're right at the edge of the field. And if I just move the camera this way, less number of flints, which gives me the impression that these flints have been thrown here probably over the years as they've ploughed and planted over the fields. They've, would have got rid of all these flints, and who knows, in the process of doing that, among here, if you've got the time, you might find Neolithic flint heads, arrowheads, even tools, hand tools and things, if you know what you're looking for. Mostly I don't, but it's very interesting. And also I have noticed some butterflies, which is really, really reassuring. I've seen about 3, one red admiral, and the others I'm not good on butterflies to be able to tell you what they are. Just trying to see if there's a, by happenstance, something that I just suddenly go, oh look, here is a flint from that time. You'd be very lucky to find one, I imagine, just lying on the surface, but you never know. I've reached the point in which I bear westwards now at Lower Standine, and this obviously is a little area where the farmer just keeps all his gear. And I've come down this steep little hill here where I was walking the other side of these trees past the crops, which I think now changed from barley to wheat, or the other way around, and I'm now heading westwards on a path that will zigzag a little bit and take me up to the Sussex border path, and that's where I'm going to go left. So I think I've probably just done a couple of miles really so far. The whole thing, as I said before, is just a 2-mile walk. It's a nice easy walk, a little bit of hillage, which I like. Do like climbing hills. Gets the old lungs going, the stamina and all of that, which is great. And I don't know if you can hear the birds. What you can't hear is traffic. Poppies. This field is interspersed now with poppies. Not very many, but they are coming up in bits and bobs. This is now the crossroads at the end there. I'm now on the Sussex border path heading south, and the scenery here is just exquisite. Looking westwards here, you get to see almost to the north end of the South Downs there on the right, and the hills with their patchwork of fields, which one time was the domain of the Neolithics, the Bronze Age, the Iron Age and the Saxons, farming and making something of it. And then through the gap, which I don't think you can see terribly well, is into the Weald. It's absolutely stunning, and beyond the North Downs. So I'm heading back that way, and I want to get to this clump of trees which has been pretty iconic for the last few days as I've made these films in this area. There it is. This clump of trees, I say iconic, it's a landmark really. Looks like it's sycamore mostly. There is some elder there. In fact, I just realised you can go into it. So let's do that. Gosh, this is a little bonus. A little bit of woodland to stroll through. I've seen these trees above the Chattri, and it's been a sort of landmark for me. Yesterday, when I was with Julia looking across westwards from the east, when we were looking at the Saucer Barrow, you could see this. And here am I in it. It's just so lovely to be able to do that. We've got some beech by the... oh no, wait a minute, they're all sycamore. I think, yeah, here we go, look. Sycamore leaves. Come through here, looking back down towards Brighton. Sussex border path, 150 miles, and if you carry on this way, it takes you up to the South Downs Way, which is the 100-mile stretch that goes east to west from Winchester over to Eastbourne. And we've got some beautiful hills behind me. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, give me a thumbs up, become a patron, support what I do, and I'll continue to make these videos, and I will catch up with you on the next one. Till then, from lovely South Downs, bye bye.